Hello everyone! Another little rant this week since you liked my last one so much. This time I thought I'd give voice to all those frustrated art historians out there. Or, at least this one here. Before we get to ranting, I'm the art doctor, Nancy Langham Hooper. I'm a PhD, art historian, and cultural enthusiast, ready to use the great art of the world to help you out. Give this video a big old thumbs up, and that will really help my channel grow. Okay, here are 5 things that drive art historians completely bonkers. Number 1, calling old art Renaissance. Look, I get that not everyone knows the exact breakdowns of historical time periods, and that's fine. But I've seen an alarming number of people out there in internet land using Renaissance as shorthand for anything vaguely oldie-worldy and European. The Renaissance, at least as art historians study it, was a very specific time period, one that bridged the medieval world with the early modern world. Dates are fuzzy, as they always are when history is done correctly, but we can roughly say the Renaissance in Europe was between the 15th and 16th centuries. When I was in school, we learned that the Renaissance, which literally means rebirth, was a time when people woke up from the dark ages of medieval times and rediscovered the sophisticated knowledge of the ancient world. Yeah, rubbish. The medieval world was quite sophisticated and quite knowledgeable of the ancients, thank you very much. We now no longer call it the Dark Ages, but somehow the rebirth of the Renaissance still gets a pass. Oh well, I'm not mad. I'm a little mad, but only on behalf of the medieval people, and quite frankly, they don't care at this point, do they? In any case, if you're referencing a work that falls between the 15th and 16th centuries, go ahead and call it Renaissance. If not, just call it by the time period in which it was done. Call it by century, 19th century art or 17th century art, or if the centuries are a bit confusing, and they are confusing, just say 1800s art or 1600s art. That's totally fine. Number 2, image licensing. If you're an academic or a scholar and you want to write a book, you hardly expect to make any money. It used to be that you were paid to research by a university, and then you would publish books or articles to gain prestige and to get your work out there. So though you didn't make a huge amount of money publishing, you still had a career. Now that system is broken down, and many scholars write and publish without having any stable employment to put food on the table. And that sucks for everyone. But with art history, it's even worse. Not only do you have to write an article or a book while most likely not getting paid for the effort, you have to pay to have it published. You heard me right. You have to pay. And this isn't some dodgy scam. Publishers almost always insist that the author pay for the license to reproduce every image found in the article or book. And because you can't do art historical scholarship without images, you can't publish art historical scholarship without lots of money. How much? Well, it really depends. From what I've heard from colleagues, a coffee table type book with lots of gorgeous illustrations can run you between 15 and 20,000 pounds. The articles I've published have all cost me between 200 and 300 pounds each. Oh, and did I make any money on them? Oh, no. Yes, there are funds that academics can apply to help with the image costs. It's like applying for yet another scholarship or grant. It's so fun, and you probably won't get it. Why does it cost so much? Especially if you're working with older art that is clearly out of copyright. By the way, copyright expires 70 years after an artist dies. Well, the museums and galleries who own the work get around that by saying, well, yeah, the copyright of the artwork is expired, but we are copyrighting the photo of the artwork that we took. That'll be 500 pounds, please. Recently, a court in the US ruled that they can't do that. If the photo is basically the same as the work of art that is out of copyright, they can't copyright the photo. But even then, sometimes they get around that by charging an admin fee to give you a high-resolution version of the photo. So you're still screwed. There are lots of pushes for museums and galleries to change their policies, at the very least for academic scholarship. And some are doing it. For example, the Met Museum in New York, The Birmingham Museums Trust and the Museums of Paris have all made high-resolution images of their collections free to anyone who wants to use them for any purpose. This is called open access, and it's wonderful. If you'd like to delve into it, I've left you a few links of lists of open access institutions in the description box below. But look, I'm only gently criticizing these public institutions that charge for images and permissions. Most of them have had their funding crumbling away for decades. Charging for images is a precious source of income for them, so of course there's no easy answer to this political and bureaucratic nightmare. Just kidding, there is. Fund museums and cultural institutions properly and stop charging for images. There, I fixed it for you. Number 3, when people don't really look at the art. I've mentioned this before on my channel, but did you know that museum goers look at a work of art for an average of 8 seconds? That is nowhere near enough time for a memorable encounter, but it's enough to know if you would like to have a memorable encounter with that artwork. Think of it like speed dating. You can't possibly know everyone intimately by the end of the evening, so you make small talk with lots of people to see if you'd like to make big talk with a few. And those few you put more time into because somehow you found them intriguing. And if the sparks fly, well, you can spend lots of time together. It's the same with art. Check out the crowd to see what really interests you and spend a little time there. Notice the details. Then, if you are really intrigued, spend a lot of time there. Notice how it makes you feel, what it reminds you of, just the pleasure of being in its brilliant presence. Just please don't take this dating metaphor too far and make out with the work of art. Pygmalion was only a story, people. Number 4, saying, my kid could do that. Anyone who says, my kid could do that, when they refer to a usually abstract work of art, are insulting both kid artists and grown-up artists. First of all, have you tried to replicate a kid's work of art? It's really hard. Kids have a totally different creative brain going on than adults. They make choices adults would never make because adults are more aware of what a work of art should be, whereas kids are, mostly, free of self-criticism, past precedent, and expectations of their medium. It's pure creativity. So when you get an adult whose artwork resembles the freedom of a child's, you're looking at a masterpiece. Check out Lee Krasner's work. She is a perfect example of this. She had years of traditional training in the visual arts, and this enabled her to make gorgeous abstract works. True mastery of anything means building up a body of knowledge and then breaking it down again. This is just as true for maths as it is for art. Learn all the rules and then throw them out the window. But there's nothing to throw out the window if you haven't absorbed the rules first, right? It's a process you can't really get around, in my opinionated opinion. So if you're criticizing an artist for not following the rules as you see them, you're probably just being too grown up about the whole thing. And number 5, when people use art history as shorthand for useless. There are a depressing number of these memes on the internet, all making fun of art historians for having no job prospects. I guess the meme makers figure only the most liberal hippie weirdos do art history. This one is probably the most insulting for several reasons. 1, what the hell is wrong in working in hospitality or fast food? It's not wonderfully paid, but it's an honest living, unlike, say, stockbrokers or hedge fund managers who bankrupted the entire world. Second reason this is insulting is that art history is singled out as something that is especially useless, an expensive degree that is a waste of time and delivers you 0 prospects. Okay, in one way they're right. Art history degrees are expensive, and they're getting more expensive. That's because university is getting more and more expensive. And recently, here in Australia, the government has decided that if you want to waste your time with a humanities degree, you'll pay more than somebody who chooses to study STEM. It's a wonderful way to guarantee that only rich kids will have access to these disciplines. Good one. So it seems like the meme makers and the policy makers are kind of working together. I'm certainly not the only one who was asked, what are you going to do with an art history degree? Meaning, what are you going to learn that will get you a job and make you a functioning cog in this economy? But here's the thing. We live in an increasingly visual culture. Art history is the study of visual cultures. Its relevance stretches from the most highbrow museum collection to the street art under the bridge. You need visual literacy to decode or create the next Instagram fad, government propaganda, or corporate communications. What can't you do with a foundation of visual literacy and a knowledge of historical visual cultures? It's like the study of English, a broad-ranging tool that can take you in a million directions. Now, I won't turn this into a "don't undervalue the humanities" rant because, well, I might do that one day properly in another video. But seriously, the humanities deserve respect. They encompass everything we see, read, believe, and value. So there. Okay, everyone. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. And though I don't know exactly how this little list helps your mental health, it certainly helps mine. A good rant is sometimes just what the doctor ordered. Okay, everyone, take care of yourselves. Go check out some open access art and high five a humanities scholar. I'll see you next time.